Thank you for joining us today. We have a topic today from the SCMH that we'd like to share with you, Business Continuity Management. It's an awareness and process recommendations presentation. My name is Susan Parsons. I work for the IAQG, specifically supporting the product supply chain improvement strategy stream, which is responsible for the SCMH, Supply Chain Management Handbook. Before we get started, if you notice on your screen on the top, you should see two little circles with a question mark. That's the Q&A box. Please feel free to put in a question at any time during this presentation. There'll be 4 small recordings included in this presentation. It's pre-recorded. The panelists are here. You'll be able to ask questions all along the way. And at the end, we will answer as many questions as possible. The panelists will. Just to get you started, the SCMH is found on the IAQG.org website. You can see the IAQG tools, SCMH, and in there you will find the guidance that we're talking about today. Just to share with you a little bit, the guidance is in 6 modules: plan and manage, design, develop, make, buy, deliver, and customer support. So you'll find this one as well in plan and manage. And the webinar will be recorded today and will be published under the webinar listing, as you see on the right of the screen, under the topic of business continuity management. And then below that, you'll find the core guidance, which we'll be talking about today, and all of the tools. So the checklist, the maturity assessments, and so on will all be listed in there. I'm going to hand this over now to Phil. Would you like to take it away and introduce yourself, Phil?
Sure thing, and thanks so much, Sue. Good morning, everyone. Sue, confirming you can hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. So good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for attending today. My name is Phil Venice, and I lead Boeing's Supply Chain Preparedness Program. And I've been part of the working group that's been preparing the Supply Chain Management Handbook content we'll go over this morning. Today, I want to talk with you about business continuity and why it's so important for companies to have a robust business continuity management system to protect their business. So on the screen, you'll see a brief overview of what we'll cover during today's webinar. To start, I'll give a short overview of what business continuity management is, and then talk about why it's so important for companies to have a business continuity plan and how it can benefit them. Next, I'll explain how business continuity differs from disaster recovery and emergency planning, and then I'll give a very brief overview of the steps needed to set up and maintain a business continuity management program. Next, we'll spend some time giving an overview of the business continuity guidance documents and tools that the working group has published in the Supply Chain Management Handbook as of November of last year. And then I'll briefly introduce those documents and turn it over to my teammates who have actually recorded themselves using and describing the tools we've created for the community. Finally, we hope to save plenty of time for questions at the end of the presentation. As a reminder, please do add your question in the Q&A box and make a slide number reference if at all possible. Next slide, please, Sue. All right, so what is business continuity management? So as you can see on the screen here, business continuity management is a business process or capability that identifies risks threatening an organization and analyzes the consequences those risks could have on an organization if the risks do occur. Additionally, business continuity teams will also support the organization's efforts to prepare for and recover from disruptive incidents when they occur. In other words, business continuity is the practice of planning for the worst things that could happen to your company and activating those plans in the event that those things do occur. Next slide, please. I feel like we've all gotten an education as to why it's so important to plan for worst case scenarios after living through 2 years of a pandemic, but this slide is just to show a few additional real world examples of things that have impacted aerospace companies in recent years. So there are 2 major fires, a hurricane, the aftermath of a tornado storm, longshoremen striking at a major port. And this is just a handful of incidents that have had a real world impact on aerospace companies. My team has dealt with several dozen incidents impacting companies in our industry over the past couple of years. Next slide. So the purpose of the previous slide and the first bullets on this one are just to underscore that these kinds of major disasters do happen, and nobody can be fully confident that a disaster won't happen and impact their company. So at a certain point, there's only so much that can be done to prevent an incident impacting your business. And while it's important to do as much as you can to reduce the likelihood of things affecting your company, it's also very important to plan for the worst case scenario and reduce the consequence of them should they occur, because it might. Additionally, one key tenet of business continuity is that because nobody can predict any major disaster that could affect their business, it's important to have plans, processes, and tools in place that can be applied to a wide range of potential risks. The good news is that having a business continuity plan or program can have a lot of benefits. So first, of course, your company and its employees will be safer and more prepared for major disasters. Second, you'll be in a position to safeguard your company's reputation in the event that a major incident does occur. Remember that these incidents often generate media coverage. They can, necessitate disclosures to customers or investors or regulators. And another benefit of having business continuity, a business continuity program, is that your company will be much better prepared to minimize the disruption, reputational impact, financial impact of a major disaster on your business. The more effective your business continuity planning, the faster you'll be able to get your operations back up and running, resume shipments to your customers, maintain a healthy balance sheet. Finally, it's also possible that the more mature your business continuity program is, the more likely you'll be able to obtain better insurance terms, coverage, or benefits, and those can definitely add up. For the last bullet on this slide, while the working group very much believes every company can reap, really significant benefits from putting business continuity management processes in place, I do just want to note that the guidance that we've made available in the SCMH is not mandatory, but rather we've made it available for your reference should you wish to begin your business continuity journey or improve your already existing business continuity programs. Next slide. And I do see the note about speaking slower, so I will do my best. Apologies. Very briefly on this slide, I want to clarify something that does sometimes confuse folks when we talk about business continuity. To be clear, business continuity plans are different from emergency response plans and disaster recovery plans. It's generally accepted as best practice that these activities should be closely integrated with each other. And the teams executing each of these programs benefit greatly from interaction and coordination with each other. But to just briefly cover how they're different, note that emergency response plans typically deal with planning for the protection of a company's facilities and workforce in the event of an emergency. These plans tend to be more specific to certain kinds of incidents. They tend to be more tactical in nature. Your company probably does have at least a handful of emergency response plans, or at least one. Disaster recovery plans are similar to emergency response plans, but they do typically focus on the restoration of computer or what we call ICT systems, telecom systems, connections, networks, software to full functionality after a disruptive incident. So can you go back one more slide? Thank you. Business continuity plans do tend to be more strategic in nature. They deal with the need to maintain companies' most critical operations during and immediately after a disruptive incident, and to facilitate the recovery of the necessary business processes to increasingly normal levels as quickly as possible. Next slide. On the screen, you'll see a simplified overview of the business continuity management lifecycle. When getting started with your business continuity program, you should start by identifying the tools, processes, and activities that are most critical to the operations and financial position of your company. So this can be anything from your company's email and phone systems to a critical machine used to manufacture a key product. This activity goes hand in hand with the business impact analysis, which is a process whereby your identified business continuity personnel or team will meet with key subject matter experts in different functions throughout your company, and have a conversation with them about what the most critical activities within their function are, and why. And this can be a lengthy and time-consuming process, but at the end of the business impact analysis, you'll be able to produce a report that describes what the most critical business activities at the company are, what interdependencies there might be between those processes, and what personnel, suppliers, documents, applications, or IT tools might be necessary to make this activity possible. Then, armed with that information, you'll start to assess the risk to your business for each of these activities. And then this can involve analyzing whether there are key single points of failure for which a contingency plan is readily available or is not readily available. It also means looking critically at what the impacts to your business might be if any of the critical activities cannot be performed. So this might allow you to start estimating, recovery time objectives and the time that your company can be without, that particular function. From there, it's time to document your plan to maintain or to recover your business in the event of a major disruption. So this can be one plan for your company in general, or you might find it easier to have a separate plan for each of your company's critical activities. By the way, if you find that your company already has a robust business continuity program and you're in an entirely different department, something you might do is figure out who that person or team is at your company and make sure that they've accounted for your critical activity or function in their business continuity planning. You might find that you end up needing a business continuity plan or a subsection of a business continuity plan for your part of the business. And then finally, once these plans have been documented, it's very, very important not to just stick them in a drawer and forget about them until they're really needed. Your company changes, the way these critical activities are performed may change. So it's important to regularly test and refresh your business continuity plans to ensure they're not stale when they're needed most. Next slide. So of course that is just a really, really high level overview of what business continuity management entails. And if your company is looking to get started on your business continuity journey, I definitely recommend consulting the guidance documentation that we've published in the SCMH. Like I said, I've just given a very brief summary of the 3 guidance documents in the handbook, but we do go into much more practical detail in these guidance documents. If we go to the next slide. So in addition to the aforementioned guidance, we've also published 6 tools that you can consult or repurpose for your company. And my teammates in the working group are going to go into much more detail about what these tools are and how you can use them. And actually, some good news, they've really graciously recorded themselves actually pulling up the tools and navigating them to demonstrate how your company can use them. So Sue, if we go to the next slide. So for the next few minutes, there will be 4 brief video overviews of those tools. And then we're going to save a lot of time at the end for the presenters to answer any questions that we receive in the Q&A section. So Sue, let's go ahead and go through the videos.
My name is Florence Artusi, working in Airbus Procurement as Supply Chain Risk Manager. Part of the IAQG working group, I'm going to present the tool we have developed in order to support the business continuity maturity assessment of a company. This tool is a questionnaire providing an initial overview of the current status of the business continuity system. It is a preliminary assessment allowing the company to identify potential areas of improvement. So let's go through the content. In the first sheet of this questionnaire, we have the BCM summary. It consists in the assessment result with the global overall rating and the overall score. And you will find an assessment summary with all the sections inside. And you will find a detailed score per section. We have 8 sections: industrial means, facilities, supply chain, transport and logistics, IT systems, HR, finance, and governance. For each section, we have the result, the detailed result. For each section, we have a dedicated sheet and we have main 3 questions. We have the possibility of 4 levels of maturity from A to D. A is the best result, D is the worst result. You can choose the selected level of maturity through this drop-down menu among A, B, C, and D. In the column F, you have to provide some comments and some evidence on the related self-score. And for the score related to C and D, we advise to put an action plan with a related target date to explain how you mitigate this level and how you can improve this level. All the sections are the same format, same for facilities, same for supply chain, same for transport and logistics, IT system, HR, finance, and for governance. Here we have the same format, and this is related to the governance you put in place to improve your business continuity management system. So to conclude, our recommendation is to start by this assessment, helping you to launch a business continuity approach or to create a business continuity plan.
Hello everyone, my name is Zulema Garcia and I work for the Boeing Company. Today I will be presenting the Business Continuity Management template. Our team created this template considering that any company, regardless of its type or size, will be able to use it to create or improve its own business continuity plan. The first part of the document includes an introductory page explaining how to use the template. For example, all text highlighted in yellow should be populated with specific company information. The notes in purple will give you additional guidance and detailed instructions to support the completion of the template. So now let's take a quick look at the business continuity plan example also included in the SCMH materials. We're using the fictitious example of a burger shop called Rob's Burgers. And our critical process will be the burger creation. So if we scroll down, we can see that already contains information related to the company, revision log, including all changes of the document. And in the first section, introduction, I'm showing the specific information added by the burger shop, replacing the text in yellow from the original template. Again, you can change it as you like to adjust to your company. Then section 2 talks about plan execution team, so including the team members list. Critical business functions will be section 3. With all tasks that need to function or take place to resume production. For instance, first function will be power supply for grill, highly critical, maximum downtime will be 12 hours. Responsible team members will be Rob Berger, who is the VP owner. Here we're adding the required resources and a brief process to complete the function. As you can see, we added several other examples. The next section will be plan activation and communication procedures. Recovery strategies. Again, it includes already some information pre-populated, but including specifically instructions for the grill, if it's broken, what to do, just to give you an idea on how to complete it. And finally, the last 2 sections will be employee, supplier, and customer contact list. Well, thank you so much for your attention, and please let us know if you have any questions.
Good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am Rainier Bosman. I am working for Tata Advanced Systems Limited out of India. I'll be taking you through our operational restart template and short example. This is just a tool we've included as part of the business continuity management to help the restart process in your organization. Feel free to use it and modify it as see fit. We've kept it as simple as possible for the purpose of loading a template. So template's quite straightforward. We've kept the instruction. The concept of the restart is a gated process. It starts with a gate 1, which is okay to start. Gate 2, constraints remove. Gate 3, operations restored, and then making sure you're back to normal after an event has taken place. We'll show you something very shortly on all of that. So basic gated process. We also added a short list. So how it works, clearly as part of the actions, there will be activity within the OK to start criteria. This is to say, listen, yes, you know, the event's over, everything is checked, and we can start, let's say, equipment for that matter, we can start the equipment. There will be continuous activity around that because you might have bypassed some things or whatever it is. But this is just to say, yeah, you know what, we can start again. You list your activities, simple activity list, owners, be down to people's names, functions, departments, locations, whatever you see suitable. Of course, some indication of a plan, and then to track the completion against those activities. We'll give an example of what we did earlier, and then it just tracks through the gate as the progress happens. This gets completed, so it's fairly straightforward. Plan, actual, for each of the 4 gates. We've done it horizontally across the page. And then there's, of course, a summary report. It's a formulated report. As you can see here, we've got gate completed and gate status, for that matter, percentage, and the count of the completed actions for each of the gates. Again, this is formulated and gives you then a nice little graph which you could use to report out the status. So what I'll do is I'll jump across to an example, give you a better flavor for it. We've used the burger shop concept, as you would see throughout this process, business continuity management. Again, the instruction, as I said, it's okay to start. Start equipment, facility, environment, whatever you see fit. Then it is to remove constraints, anything that is not back to where it should be. Any activities might remain will go into gate 2. Gate 3 is your operation is now back to where it was or where you want it to be. That's why we call it restored. And then we have operation normalized. This is down to anybody to choose what that means for them at that time. Our recommendation would be, you know, some sort of recovery has been made. So we'll go to the case assumption. We had a burger shop. There's been a fire. We've assigned people of responsibility to each of them as per the process defined. And we are then moving to the action or the activity tracker. We have assigned the different activities that people need to do. make sure that something simple, but make sure the facility is ready, right? So you can't start again if you don't have your extinguishing system back and running its health and safety risk. Who will do it when they'll do it by? And in the example for this purpose, these activities has been completed. I will also move to the other side of this. So you can see here, of course, at gate 1, all the activities have been completed, some a little bit late, some a little bit early. It doesn't matter for the purpose of the report. It's a status report. And then we have gate 2, all but 1 completed. Nice count, 10. That gives us a 90% completion. Here we have the gate 3. Nice 7 short actions, and then a normalization status, which they have assumed operations is back, and everything is back on track fully, 100% delivery, and you can serve all the customers that walk through. So here we have a bunch of actions incomplete at this time. So as you populate this, quite simple, action dates, put the plan dates and actual dates, put them in there. It's formulated into the report. Again, we looked earlier at gate 1. You can see here that we have a completion status. As actions were closed, we moved up the percentage up to the point where it's 100% completed and the count of the actions. Onto gate 2, we mentioned earlier there were 9 done, which gives you a 90% completed this month, this week, and so on for each of the gates. And as you can see, ultimately at gate 4, where we have the normalization, we've set a target. When do we want to be ready, which is essentially this column here. And in this plan, in this scenario, we have selected that the activities will complete by the end of June. So you have a nice little report, status report here for reporting out to management. It's kind of clear. As I said, it's a status report, not so much an action tracker. You can see here how gate 1 has progressed. Gate 2 also progressed accordingly. And then the only thing we've said is, listen, have a target at the end or wherever you wish. And that's our little black line there, and how gate 4 is. Good day, everyone.
Hi everyone, I'm Lou Zuozheng from COMAC, Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China. You can call me Lou. As a member of BCM Working Group, I'm here to present a document of incident monitoring resources. As you can see on the first slide, this is a base template to be adjusted for your own organization. You can either add or remove the resources listed in this document. Our intention is to provide you a base list of resources to detect the emerging risk. This document was based on one of the world leading OEM database, and volunteers from America, Europe, and Asia Pacific added their local resources. So you can find this document covering race all over the world. When the team created this document, we have several principles. First of all, we only listed the resource which provided free and beneficial data. Most of the resources come from governments, national organizations, and universities. And we deleted the links to some webs. We only keep the name, and you can search the website by yourself. Please be noted that any inclusion on this list does not constitute an IAQG endorsement of any paid product or services. You can use this document as a starting point to support risk monitoring by checking those websites or creating your own monitoring platform. To better adjust your business, you can add new or local resources. You can also delete those not related. Here is the list of resources. For each item, you can find the name with hyperlink, regional applicability, and its description. Some are global and some are applicable only to the certain region or country. For those that have hyperlink, you can click on and it will take you directly to that web. Here, I show you an example. If we click the link to Aviation Weather Center, you can find the timely and accurate weather information for the World Airspace System. It is a web owned by the US government for environmental prediction. Here, I show you another example, Global Disaster Alerting and Coordination System, short for GDACS. It is a system developed by the UN and the European Commission. As you can see here, it shows disasters like earthquake, tropical cyclone, flood, and so on. We can also find the latest information about Tonga volcano eruption here. And we also classify the type of risk. You can find them on the top of each slide. General type means that the resource covers virus hazard, and you can also find COVID-19, cyber attack, and other kinds of risk. Finally, I summarize all of those resources for your information. It was not on the published SCMH material. Now we have 90 resources in total covering 14 types of risk. 41% are global, and others cover the risk in all three sectors. At first, the team wanted to create a live web to collect all of these links, hoping to help SCMH users to have a live and trustworthy web to forecast industry disruption. However, after much deliberation and discussion, we agreed to create this template instead of a live web because we cannot guarantee that all the links and resources are always safe and alive. Anyway, we encourage you to use this document as a starting point. You can create your own risk monitoring list based on your business and the location. You can even create your IT system to monitor any disruption. If you have any update or good resources that you want to share within IAQG community, please contact us and we will update accordingly. Okay, thanks for your time.
Phil, would you like to give a summary? I hope that everybody, this is the first time we've done these pre-recorded demonstrations and inserted them into the webinar. I hope you found them beneficial and helpful. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sue. Just really briefly, the bullets on the screen, I think, say kind of, give a good overview. Companies really should consider putting a business continuity plan in place if you don't have one already. There is guidance that we've made available in the SCMH expressly for this purpose. It is, designed to be useful. It's designed to be thorough enough to give you some practical walkthroughs and practical guidance as to how to get started, questions you should ask yourself or your company's leaders, and use those tools that we just gave you an overview of along your business continuity journey. We tried to include tools that will be used, at different stages along the way. So hopefully those are useful. Sue, do we want to jump into questions?
Yes, we do. We have a couple coming in. So if anybody has any that you haven't entered into the Q&A box yet, please do so now. And we are going to answer as many as we can. First question. Does aerospace supply chain have business continuity management mandatory requirements or supplier selection and approval requirements?
Rainier, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we have obviously during the course of this, we had a look at that, and we've seen that it's, some contracts does have that, but as we go down the supply chain, that seems to fizzle out and become less contractual compliant. And I think in terms of it being a mandatory requirement through IAQG or AS, it is not what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to tell everybody, listen, you should consider this, and here's an approach to a business continuity plan as a whole.
Thank you. The person also asked, which we don't want to really name companies, but it says, do you know which companies have BCM requirements to their suppliers? And I'll add the other part of that question. What's the difference in relationship between emergency response and business continuity plans when a disruption occurs? Which plan takes first? What kind of problems may arise in the division of responsibilities and cross-functional collaboration between these two?
So I'll take that one. So yeah, I won't name any companies. I can't speak to the contracts that you may have, but something that you should determine as you're considering putting together your business continuity plan or your business continuity program. Customer requirements should definitely be a major consideration. As to kind of any requirements for your business continuity plan, or any maturity thresholds or guidance criteria that they have for your business continuity program. So do consult that. You might also consult, of course, regulatory requirements. Those are probably pretty rare. But something you might also check is insurance. Insurance may have requirements surrounding the preparedness programs your business should have in place. And if not, you might ask them about it and to see kind of what benefits you might glean from having a business continuity program. In terms of the relationship and the difference between emergency response and business continuity plans. So what I'll say is that emergency management is really designed to address an incident immediately after a crisis occurs. And then the business continuity team, in really short terms, takes steps to maintain or restore the organization to its pre-crisis state. So to elaborate on this a little bit, emergency preparedness staff are responsible for assessing kind of all the different crises that could hit their organization, be it severe weather or flooding or terrorism or what have you, and hold regular drills or exercises to ensure that the entire business is aware of those threats and knows what to do in the event of an emergency, and then kind of a way to effectively distribute those plans to the affected parties. The business continuity team, rather, is responsible for ensuring that the business is not interrupted or disrupted by one of these incidents to the extent possible. So, business continuity plans, think, emergency response plans might be like fire escape routes or tornado drills. But business continuity might involve kind of executive staff, finance, the IT department, PR, and communications, and they're not going to be distributed to, the entire company per se. Sometimes they might be widely available, but they're really designed to ensure that the business recovers, its operations as quickly as possible, or maintains its existing level of operational capacity as much as possible in the event of an emergency.
He had one additional question on that. Does BCP provide specific recovery operation steps for each disruption scenarios, or just provide the general principle at a high level and a rough method?
This is a really good question. And so, like I said, so emergency preparedness will have the fire evacuation routes, for example. That's one thing where they've identified that this is a clear risk to the company. And here's, our exact plan in the event that something does happen. Business continuity is different. And in fact, it should be available. The plan should be available to be activated regardless of what incident affects the business. We call this the all hazards approach. So where possible, you want to document recovery procedures where they're pretty tried and true, or you're going to need to do that to recover this specific part of the business quickly. But keep in mind that because of this all hazards approach, because of this this goal of having a plan that can be activated, whatever may come, it's not always going to be clear how something needs to be recovered. The business continuity plan should definitely include roles and responsibilities of the people that will be responsible for executing the plan, recovery procedures where appropriate, thresholds that drive the activation of the BCP, where progress, where recovery progress, drives the deactivation of the BCP, similar to the Restart Tracker that Rainier was showing. Any contact information for team members or customers or suppliers, communication plans, interdependencies. So here are the parts of the business that might be also impacted if this part of the business goes down. Backups, workarounds, meeting locations, required tools. Sometimes if you've thought about that in advance, that might be something you include in your BCP plan. One other thing that definitely should be included in the BCP plan, and I mentioned this a bit earlier, is how often the plan should be updated, and how you're going to keep the plan fresh to evolve alongside your business.
Okay. If the disruption event occurs, what kind of state does the business function need to recover? To which state? A relatively acceptable state, MBCO target, or return to a normal state? Does it mean the end of BCP?
So there is not like a textbook approach to answer this question. This is really up to your business and your business continuity teams to address as they're putting together the BCP. There will need to be a conversation at some point about if this part of the business goes down for any reason, how long could it be down before we really start to see tangible impact to the business? It should definitely consider the realities of your business as you're making those determinations. And there is, if you consult the guidance in the SCMH, we try to talk you through some of that, things you might think about, how you contextualize revenue impacts or legal impacts or customer delivery impacts, and use that to kind of determine the appropriate time and scale of your recovery effort. Anybody else on the team want to add to that?
Is there a requirement in the AS 9100 which asks to have a business continuity management process? And if so, what chapter?
No, there's not currently.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I have a comment to that, Phil.
Mhm.
There is not an official requirement per se, specifically, but there is section 8.1.1 operational risk management, where it's asking to the organization to plan, implement, and control the process for managing operational risk. So this could be something that can be considered, but as we were explaining earlier, it will depend on your customers if they will require a specific information or specific types of programs. And we know some of the OEMs will request that.
Thank you. What is the difference between BCM and ERM, Enterprise Risk Management? Is there any guideline for aerospace companies' ERM in the SCMH? Well, I can start to say that we do have risk management in the SCMH. If you use the search function and type in risk, you'll see different chapters that come up. But Phil, if you'd like to take that.
Yeah, and we actually do have in the guidance, we have a full slide dedicated actually to answering exactly this question. The answer is that they should be closely related and intertwined, ERM and business continuity. ERM is really, looking at the cause and the consequence of a risk to the company. And BCM is really focused less on the cause, and more on the response to and the impact of the disaster. It's, the kinds of things that, nobody can plan for, but we want to be prepared, whatever may happen. So that is the key difference. I would say, ideally, though, they are closely related, and the people who work both know each other and talk to each other well.
Okay. One more question. I don't know that this is included, but we can at least give you a chance to hear it. Assuring continuity of supply chain includes inventory. Who covers the inventory? Are OEMs willing to share the cost?
That would be a question with your specific customer, in my view, and if anyone else on the team wants to add to that.
I think it's exactly the same, Phil, and the person asking the question that we mentioned in principle of business continuity management as a whole. It's down to the contract you hold, and we also have seen that businesses treat risk differently. Certainly, risk can be dealt with through inventory, be it your side, customer side, or any other means. But we've seen contracts dictating inventory, a certain amount, and then of course others just dictating risk or business continuity through risk management of some kind, and others that dictate nothing of the sorts. And of course, the question of cost, again, back to the different contracts that exist out there. Sometimes the customer does carry or support some of that burden, but again, contract and customers dependent.
Thank you. I have an update for the question on the 9100 requirement. We have someone in attendance from the IAQG, Buddy Crescione, who has made the following statement. He would be in the know. He's connected in with what's the goings on in the 9001 and 9100. He states that business continuity is being considered for inclusion into the next revision of both ISO 9001 and 9100. So I just thought I'd pass that along, and thank you, Buddy. Okay, so we have a couple other questions. Would you like to say anything more about the details? I'm just, I'll give you a couple of minutes, Phil and panelists to think. I'm just going to touch on 2 or 3 slides about where to find some information, and then I'll let you give us some closing remarks. But thank you for your questions coming in. If we didn't get to any, I think I read all of them, but if we didn't get to some, feel free to add them now or send me your question through this slide that I'm going to share. So the webinars, we do about 3 to 4 a year. That's our kind of our goal. We may go up or down based on, what people are saying about the webinars, if they're helpful. I hope these help. This one specifically is helpful. It's the first time we've actually done some pre-recorded demonstrations within it to give you some time now to go back and look at them. This webinar will be found in the SCMH under the section that it belongs to. So the topic is business continuity management. You'll go in there, you'll find the webinar listed just like you see on the screen for APQP, Acceptance Authority Media. As we do them, we're posting them. And these are actually links that will take you to a YouTube channel. You can only access that YouTube channel by having the link available. So that link you will need to go and watch the video again. If you go to the announcement page off the SCMH right on the top right corner, that's where I will post upcoming webinars. They'll actually be posted before they go out in a newsletter, before they go out as invitations to all of the SCMH users. So you'll be able to see that firsthand right there. And then if you want to share and spread the word of the SCMH, of course, we appreciate you letting your suppliers know, other people within your company, if there's people outside of quality that are really working with your business continuity management plans. Let them know about the SCMH and where you found some of this information. Hit About SCMH, And below that, you'll see a communication pack. It's also developed in a couple other languages on that page, but it'll tell you, it'll share a good idea of what the SCMH is about. And then there's an alphabetical listing of all the topics, the SCMH topics found within it, and what's new. So if there's we just published something, it'll pop up in that what's new. Okay, and again, on each page, so you have your sections going across. If you click the blue, it'll pop you to the plan and manage. Click design and development, it'll take you to that. And then under each topic, you'll see the specific SCMH topics. Next to that on the right is a contact SCMH button. So if you have a question while you're putting your BCP together, you can always contact SCMH and I'll forward it to the persons that worked on the project and see if we can get you an answer. Phil, is there anything you would like to add to that?
No, just thank you so much, everybody, for your time and for listening to our presentation. I do definitely encourage folks to consult the guidance. It sounds like we have a lot of good ideas as to clauses and other documents in the Q&A here that I'm going to go look into to be sure. This is intended to be an ongoing conversation, so definitely do contact us if you have any questions, any suggestions for maybe how we can improve the guidance in future iterations. And again, just thank you so much for your time and attention this morning.
All right, thank you very much. And just to answer a couple last questions coming in, since we do have 7 minutes left, if people don't mind bearing with us. Just would like to know if there are any differences between TL 9000 Clause 7.1.1 C1 and IATF 16949 Clause 6123, which are also requirements on VCP. If it's very specific, we can provide an answer later in the Q&A, but if you have this one, Phil.
Well, so I actually need to go sit down and refresh my own memory and read through these. So I've written this down as I don't know if the rest of the team kind of has those on the tip of their tongue or has reviewed them recently, but I have not, unfortunately.
All right. And also, as somebody has asked about CEUs, we are not a training organization. We're making you aware of the information that's in the SCMH, and we're sharing that through webinars. But that's not to say that we aren't looking to that in the future. And we will share with you at an upcoming webinar what our plans might be for that kind of thing. But we are in discussion about how to provide some training, if we are going to provide some training, and we'll get back to you with that. So I want to thank everybody, all the panelists. Great job on your demonstrations. Thank you, Phil, for leading the team. Look forward to seeing everybody on a future webinar. Have a great day. Thank you.